It was a calm, quiet evening on the farm, just the kind of night I loved. The kind where the air is cool, the stars are bright, and all you can hear is the wind through the cornfields and the occasional crow from one of my roosters. I had just finished a long day of work, the sun setting behind the hills, when I saw her again, Linda. I'll never forget that moment. There she was, pulling up in her shiny black SUV, parking it right in the middle of my freshly planted cornfield like she owned the place. She stepped out in heels, strutting across my land with the kind of arrogance that made my blood boil. I thought, not this again. I've asked her, time and time again, to stop parking on my land. It's not a parking lot, for heaven's sake. But every time I told her, she just flashed that fake smile and told me she'd only be there for a minute, as if that made it okay. I don't know what it was about that day, but something snapped in me. I wasn't just going to let her get away with it. Not anymore. So, I decided to teach her a lesson she'd never forget. Now, let me rewind a bit and tell you how it all started. I've lived in this small town just outside of Asheville, North Carolina, all my life. The farm's been in my family for 3 generations. It's not huge, but it's mine. I grow corn, tomatoes, and raise a few goats and chickens. Nothing fancy, but it's the life I've always known. After my dad passed, I promised him I'd keep the farm running, keep it alive, keep it full of love and respect for the land. It was simple, peaceful, until she came along. Her name was Linda. She was the new president of the HOA that had recently popped up across the road from my land. The fancy houses, the perfect lawns, and the women with their yoga mats and wine glasses, that was her world. But for some reason, she had a problem with me, with my farm, with the way I lived my life. First, it was the weeds along the fence line. They weren't even on her property, but she demanded I trim them. Then it was the smell of my goats. Then it was my rooster crowing at 5 a.m., as if my farm should follow her HOA's rules. I mean, my land's not even in her HOA. It's my property, and I'm doing my thing. But I tried to stay calm. I've learned that kindness matters. My mom used to say, let them throw stones. You plant flowers with them. So, I planted flowers even when she was throwing bricks. But then it escalated. One day, I came back to the barn, feed sack in hand, and there it was, her SUV parked right on the edge of my land. I thought maybe she was lost, so I waved her down. Hey, excuse me. You can't park here. This is private property, I said. She turned to me with the fakest smile I've ever seen. Oh, it's just for a minute. I need to check on something nearby. I'm not hurting anything, she said, like she had the right to park anywhere she pleased. I tried to let it go. One time, okay. But that one time turned into every other day. Every time her driveway was full, my land became her parking lot. And when she had guests over, they'd park all over my field, crushing my crops. I put up signs. I even left a note on her windshield. Please stop parking here. This is a working farm. But she ignored it all. It wasn't just frustrating. It was disrespectful. My dad used to say, if someone treats your land like it's worthless, they probably think you're too. But I didn't want to stoop to her level. I didn't call the cops. I didn't yell at her. Even though, Lord knows, I was tempted. I went to her house one morning to speak with her face to face. Linda, I'm asking nicely. Please stop parking on my land. It's damaging my soil, I said. She gave me that same fake smile again. It's just dirt, she said, while VYing her hand like I was being dramatic. You should be happy people are interested in your little farm. My little farm. I couldn't believe it. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept staring out the window at the corner of my land where she always parked, wondering what I could do. I didn't want revenge, but I believed in consequences. That's when it hit me. I wasn't going to break any laws. I wasn't going to get violent, but I was going to make her pay attention. The next morning, I got to work. Quietly, with just the sound of roosters crowing and the hammer hitting wood, I rigged something up near the edge of the field, behind the old tool shed. It was simple, but it was going to make a statement. Sure enough, that afternoon, there she was again parking her SUV in the middle of my field. She slammed the door, strutted away in those heels like she was walking on a runway. I watched her walk off, and then I went to work. 10 minutes later, her car wasn't where she left it. When she came back, her face turned red. Where's my car? She screamed, stomping through the crops like a toddler throwing a tantrum. I stepped out from behind the tool shed, wiping the sweat off my forehead. Oh, you mean the car parked on my land without permission? Her face went white as a sheet. That's when I heard the voice behind her. Ma'am, is this your vehicle? It was Officer Daniels. He looked at me, then back at her. Ma'am, the car was parked on his property. He has the legal right to have it moved, especially after being warned. This isn't theft. Her mouth dropped open like a trap door. Moved? Where? She yelled. I pointed toward the back of the barn. You'll find it safe and sound. I didn't tow it. I used my John Deere tractor, carefully lifting the front of her SUV, one wheel at a time, moving it across the field and parking it in an unused goat pen. Technically, it never left my land. The look on her face when she saw it priceless. Officer Daniels turned to me and gave me a slow nod. Creative, but next time, just call me, he said, chuckling. I thought that would be the end of it, but I was wrong. A few days later, I saw her again. This time, she was holding a clipboard, taking pictures of my property. What are you doing? I asked. I'm documenting violations, she snapped. Your farm is an eyesore. I'm reporting you to the HOA. I laughed. Linda, your HOA doesn't have any jurisdiction over my farm. You don't live here. You're not part of my community. But she didn't care. She reported me anyway, and before I knew it, I got a letter in the mail. A fancy, legal-sounding letter from the HOA telling me I needed to attend a compliance hearing for disturbing the aesthetic harmony of the neighborhood. I showed up to the meeting. Karen was there, of course, along with a few board members who had no idea what real work on the land looked like. This farmer, she started, has continually disturbed the peace. He owns aggressive animals and even moved my car off his property in an act of vengeance. I raised my hand. Correction, I moved your car off my land after you repeatedly parked there without permission. The meeting got awkward real fast. One of the board members asked, Your land isn't even in our HOA's jurisdiction? Nope, I said. Never has been. The meeting was over in a matter of minutes. They had no grounds to act on, and the issue was dropped. But that didn't stop Karen. The next day, my front gate was spray-painted in bright red letters, Trashy Farm. That hurt. It wasn't just my property. It was my family's legacy. But I didn't break down. I cleaned it up. By noon, I had repainted the gate bright green with golden edges and hand-painted sunflowers. I added a sign, This land feeds hearts, not just bellies. Neighbors started to notice. People who had barely spoken to me before started complimenting my gate. One lady even brought me a basket of peaches and whispered, I saw what she did. Thank you for keeping this town alive. It felt good, but then I saw her SUV again this time, parked on my land once more. I had enough. This time, I had a plan. I got the old hay trailer from my grandfather's time. I hitched it to my tractor, loaded it with compost, and drove straight toward her SUV. When I got there, I opened the trailer gate. The compost spilled out like a river, surrounding her car in thick, smelly, organic sludge. The boys on the hood of the car jumped off, slipping and sliding in the mess. It was too satisfying. Karen showed up, screeching her brakes. What is this? She yelled. Compost, I said calmly. Good for the soil. You buried my car. No, I said. I built a barrier. That car isn't going anywhere until you clean it up. She called the police again. Officer Daniels showed up, looked around, and said, You've been warned. Trespassing, property damage, vandalism. This ends now. She left, defeated, but I thought that was the end. I was wrong again. A few days later, I woke up to the sound of hammering. I went outside and found Karen building a fence on my property. Her crew had already started digging holes. I approached them. Who hired you? The lady in the heels, one of them said, scratching his head. This is my land, I said, pointing to the field behind me. You can't build a fence here. Karen approached with a smug smile. I'm just protecting your farm, she said. I pulled out my phone. Say that again, Linda. About reporting me for harassment. She blinked. You're bluffing, she said. Nope, I replied. I already spoke to the county office. Want a copy of the property survey? The workers packed up and left, heads down. Karen stood there, staring at the half-built fence. She didn't say a word, but I saw something in her eyes, tiredness, not anger. It made me pause. Why are you doing this? I asked. She didn't answer right away. Then she muttered, Because I'm losing everything. In that moment, I realized something. The person I'd been fighting wasn't just Karen, the HOA president. She was someone struggling too. The next morning, something strange happened. I woke up to flashing lights. My barn was on fire. But who started it?